agriculture. You'll often find her outside moving her body in one way or another, whether it's hiking, mountain biking, backpacking, climbing, snowboarding, or on some other outdoor adventure. And having worked with Kim for a little while here, the thing about Kim is she's just so nice. I adore like all this fantastic stuff is wonderful, but Kim is just a genuinely good person. So Crystal is either raising her hand to say yes or like, what? Yes. Kim's just a fantastic person. So I'm very excited to have Kim here and share her outdoor spirit and share her information with us. So I'm going to turn the time over to Kim right now.
Thank you. Wow, what an intro. Really, I'm all like pumped up now. I just wanted to say welcome to our lunchtime journey together. I'm going to share my um, presentation. Let me know if you could see this. Um,
We're seeing the one with, oh, there we go. Now it's full screen.
Fantastic. Okay, so welcome. I am here not as an expert in any means. I come with deep, long, I come with a deep and long time relationship of curiosity and just sort of presence to the outside world and really nature, which can be indoors too, as we'll chat about soon. Um, but I wanted to share with you kind of what my idea is for our lunchtime journey together. I'm curious what you all came here for as well. If anyone is interested in sharing briefly kind of why you're here. And then I'm going to walk you through kind of what I have in mind and we can sort of adapt and adjust as we go. But just really quick, I'm curious what you all are here for.
I know I'm here for you, Kim. No, I'm joking. Well, I'm not kind of joking, but I love it. I love all of your presentations. I love the outdoors as well. I find myself finding any opportunity I can to get outside to recharge myself. I feel like it's really important, to wellness. And then even my kids, I force my kids to do it. I say I force my kids, but I notice the benefits, even if they fight tooth and nail getting out there. But once they get outside, they get their hands dirty. They do anything really physical, especially outdoors. We get that freedom, the freedom and then touch the grass and do all the things. It's so good for us. So anything I can learn or build upon or just looking to see what you have to share and just enjoying being around like-minded people.
I love that. Thank you so much. And you said a few things in there that I do want to cover, including the challenges of getting outdoors. And I think this is less of a like learning as much as a reminder. Because I think for all of us as humans, we part of reconnecting to nature is reminding ourselves that at the end of the day, we are nature. And so it's more to me a reminder of like that's actually what the reality is, and how do we get to the point where, we are, we to be one with nature and feel at ease with it, and our bodies know that immediately when we go and we engage with nature. So today, I want to talk to you just a little bit about the benefits of connecting with nature. And then sort of some of the natural challenges that come up, especially in modern life. Um, and then how we can explore building a tool where you don't, it doesn't require a lot of mental energy or like physical energy to get you to take that first step towards connecting with nature. And then we'll talk a little bit about, how to do your own assessment when you're in nature. And then ultimately, engaging with nature is purely your personal experience. And it's different every time because if you think about, at any given moment, you are as a person are feeling an infinite combination of things, right? Whether it's mentally, physically, or emotionally as we go throughout our lives. And nature is, to me, one of the few the only thing that I can think of that just takes me as I am at any given moment and really offers that sort of infinite source of healing, right? No tree is going to like tell you to, stop complaining. It's just going to be there, right? Right? Um, and it'll be there for a long time, hopefully, right? And so, and then we're going to talk a little bit about resources that help with connecting you to nature. I've got like a few apps and websites that you can do research on and get you out there in whatever way that works for you. And then, if we have some time, I would love to hear any suggestions that you all have, because you all also probably have some form of connection of nature with nature already. So. Um, just to start off, to me, I like to start off with sharing sort of my story. And this is just a tiny bit of my story. But to me, my connection with nature at the end of the day is really revolves around growth and transformation in relationship over time. And a really good example of that is, so I'm the program manager for the Veterans Conservation Corps. And when I was an intern in this program, back in 2016, we planted 3 oak trees, rest in peace, one of them that got mowed over accidentally. Um, but we planted that tree, and there's something so beautiful about putting something into the ground that is living and having hope for it to grow into something, right, that we have no control over. And so fast forward 8 years later, I'm the program manager for this program that I've been cultivating and doing work to connect veterans to the healing relationships with nature. And 2 of the oak trees are very big now compared to what they were before. And they have names. I sat out there one day and it just came to me with my farm manager out there, and we were like, well, we do conservation and we do agriculture. And she came up with Constance, and I came up with Agatha for conservation and agriculture. And I looked up what those names mean. And they're, steadfast, resolute, perseverance, and good and honorable. And I'm like, wow, what perfect names for these beautiful living beings that really are a metaphor for my relationship with nature, right? And so that's that's kind of me and nature in a nutshell. A lot of meaning, a lot of awareness, attention, and relationship over time. And so I'm hoping that this will inspire you to continue on that journey. Because again, I'm positive that all of you have some form of connection with nature already. Um, so the benefits of nature, um, you know, I can list off a whole list, and I will. There's a list right there. But at the end of the day, I think the power of connecting with nature is feeling like you're a part of it rather than a part of it. Sorry, rather than, yeah, a part versus a part. And I say that because there's so much in our modern world that keeps us from remembering that this is a place that we naturally want to be in. Our brains, our, our bodies, are naturally regulated in nature for this reason, because it knows it's where we belong, right? And so, being in nature has a variety of benefits, including reducing your stress, helping with relaxation. If you're a creative type, getting outside can really inspire ideas. It boosts your creativity. In terms of, sitting in front of a desk all day, every day, it helps with cognitive ability, memory, concentration. So getting outside just for a few minutes really gives your body a reset, so that when you come back, you're a little bit more refreshed and able to, focus and pay attention a bit better. Um, I also think it reminds. So nature is one of my favorite sources of awe, and awe is such a critical part of well-being, because it reminds you that you are a part of something bigger. It makes things that seem really big and intimidating and scary in your life seem a bit smaller, because there's so much more to life, right? So it gives you perspective. I also think it gives you a sense of purpose. It's, for the interns in my program, doing healing nature, and watching the tangible results of, removing invasive weeds, planting trees, helping to build habitat for creatures in whatever ecosystem that they're working in, right? So sense of purpose is definitely a benefit. It gets you outside, and it just, yeah, gratitude and respect, connection. These are all things. And then for you all, I'm curious, what benefits have you experienced? Anybody?
When I'm outside, I just feel more centered, more like grounded and less frantic. Um, when I moved here from Alaska, like Juneau has more trails, more maintained trails than roads. And moving down here, finding like the little wilderness places were so fantastic to just like be me rather than everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, being yourself and being the ability to be authentic when, we live in a world that often people are requiring us to be a certain way or acting a certain way can be quite cathartic. So I totally agree. Um, and then-
We've got some great answers in the
oh, do you?
chat. Yeah, Sonia says, I always feel better when I get outside. Carol says, reduced blood pressure. We've got grounding, feeling more relaxed and calm, time for reflection and self-improvement.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I have this next slide for those who are more visually inclined, but I brought this one because the one that I think about a lot right now with nature is the bottom right, human connections, right? You came into this thinking about building connections to nature, and you're probably thinking green spaces, trails, or garden, and things like that. But again, going back to the theme that we are nature, one of the things that I'm feeling really compelled to think about is connections to each other as humans who are, nature as well. Just given sort of everything going on right now and sort of the negativity out and about, I think about how nature is really a place for us to come together and connect with each other as well. So I think about that a lot as well as a benefit. So, in terms of building your nature toolbox, I'm sure that each of you are in different parts of your journey in this. Some of you may have already robust toolboxes, and I'm here just to remind you to pull it out as much as you can. And then for some folks who are just beginning, when I think about building your nature toolbox, it is specifically yours. And it will change because you change. The things that you need from nature, the things that you receive from nature are going to change throughout your life. And it changes, from day to day sometimes, right? And so when you think about building your nature toolbox, I think about creating, developing, and designing something around what you, in this particular moment of your life, enjoy doing, and thinking about what you're hoping to receive from this, right? And so doing a self assessment, a deep dive of what you, as a particular person, want. And one of the ways that I find really helps start that journey is just exploring the the five primary senses, right? Sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. Coming up with simple activities that you can engage in regularly, daily, making it a habit, even if it's only for 5 minutes a day, really helps build that momentum. And then ultimately, you want to sort of pull back and think big picture is sort of what are some of the wider goals that you would like to achieve? We can receive so much from connecting with nature in various ways. So, building a sort of a prescription for yourself, right, to address some of the things that you're hoping to improve in your life, in your mind, body, in your social sphere, in just your emotional world as well. Um, and then thinking about some of the barriers that might arise or that exist currently to that keep you from, getting connected to nature. Um, and then, designing a routine that fits around your life. Speaking of barriers, so I would encourage you to think about, it's easy to just realize that there are barriers because it can just come very subtly, like you think about going outside, but then you just don't somehow, right? And there's a barrier in there that you haven't realized was there and you haven't acknowledged, and then you just go on the rest of your day without making that connection with nature. So I think about like, I don't have time right now. It's not a priority. Um, I don't know where to go or what to do when I get there. I live in a city. There's not much green here, or I don't really like to do this stuff alone, or I don't have the right clothing or gear, or I have a pain or something where it just makes it uncomfortable for me to get outside or connect with nature. The next one is me, it's squirrel. Like, I just I want to get outside and then I get distracted by something, right? What else? What else keeps you from connecting with nature, right? So thinking about barriers can also being aware of them can be important in facilitating you getting outside. Um, and then, once you think about the barriers, I like to say, don't be so hard on yourself. Put it down because guess what? You're already there, right? Connecting with nature is can be really easy. And at the end of the day, it's just paying attention to your surroundings, noticing what's happening around your physical body, getting out of your head. Again, touching on the sight, sound, smell, and taste. Paying attention to those senses that are, at the end, really sensitive. But our modern day life often desensitizes those senses. And so it's about reinvigorating your ability to sense the world around you as a person who moves around this world in a physical body. Um, and what's powerful about the act of noticing is that it really grounds you in the present moment. And then this is why, it reduces anxiety and stress because anxiety is inherently a future focused thought process, right? So when you're in the present, it really takes away the uncertainty of the future just in that moment to give your body some time to just regulate and feel like right now I am safe. Right now I'm calm. Right now I don't need to make any decisions, and just that moment of regulation is really healthy and powerful for your body and mind. And you don't necessarily need to go anywhere at all. In fact, the slower that you go, the better you tend to connect. Forest bathing has been something that people have been acknowledging as something that is such a powerful practice. Is instead of blazing on it through on a trail to get to the top of a mountain, it's you move 5 feet in like half an hour and you notice just the richness and the depth of perception of the things around you that you wouldn't have noticed before if you're just kind of blazing through, right? And that's a metaphor for life as well, right? Today's July 1st, and I flipped my calendar and I was like, where did the month of June go? And there's sort of an anxiety with that because then it's like, oh no, like time is going by so fast, I have no control. Nature really undoes that by slowing you down, helping you feel sort of the richness that can come of your day-to-day life. Then one thing that I like to offer too is, don't wait until you have a moment to get outside to think about, where you can actually go. Create at your own inventory. And I think of it as distance, right? So what do you have inside your house? Do you have plants that are growing that you can, step up or stand up from your desk, touch and feel, smell, water them, tend to them? Um, what's right outside your front door? I fortunately have an incredible garden right now, and I'm out there often, harvesting food, watering and tendering, paying attention to all the plants. The flowers are blooming right now. Then what about walking distance? If you walk down the block, 2 blocks, do a neighborhood walk. What are some places that you have access to there? What about a short drive, right? 5, 10 minutes. Is there a local park that you can go to, a trail, a river, a lake? Um, and then if you have some more time, a road trip, and that can open up a whole nother world, right? So sort of doing an inventory and writing down some of these places in these categories of distance from near to far can kind of help you choose what the right way to connect to nature is for any given moment during any given day. And I have a list like this, and it's actually really helpful because it reduces the mental load of making a decision. I just think, okay, like I only have 5 minutes, so I can only go outside my front door. So these are the things I can do, and I just pick one and I go. So reducing the barrier to getting outside is really good. And then on top of that, another way that I like to have an inventory is what do I actually like to do? And this list is so different for everyone, right? But these are some ideas. Something as simple as taking a step outside and taking a deep breath. You would be surprised how incredible that can feel, especially on a stressful day when you're just in it and your brain just is latched onto a problem or something that it's trying to grapple with, and just taking a step outside, taking that long, slow, deep breath, and you come back and you're like a whole new person sometimes, right? So journaling, gardening, bird watching, smelling flowers, if you're interested in tracking wildlife, I know a friend who is obsessed with that. And there's just this whole world about tracking wildlife that I didn't even know existed, right? Looking at stars, so we don't have to get outside during the daytime. Bring a flashlight out, find a dark spot somewhere, and just look up, right? And then building habitats for local animals and insects, doing conservation work. And you don't have to do it alone. Bring a loved one, including any furry loved ones. Your dog will be so happy that you're wanting to connect more outside. And then just a quick grounding exercise, just an example of something that I like to use as a bridge between me and connecting with nature. It's a go-to that I have, um, just as it can be a springboard or it can be in and of itself something that is enough for me. So what I do is I find a place outside. And this can be done if you have like a bright area, like a patio that's covered inside, especially if it's winter and you don't want to be in the cold and rain. This works too, right? So some place where there is natural lighting, maybe a little bit of fresh air if you have it, if it's available. Um, and so that in and of itself is already helping your nervous system regulate itself. And then step two, wherever you are, ground yourself, whether you're sitting or you're standing up, just paying attention to how your body feels, and take a slow, deep breath in and out, right? To ground yourself in the present moment, right? And what this does is physically, it lowers your heart rate, reduces your blood pressure, quiets, whatever stress response that your body may be having in that moment. And then, if you're ready, lean deeper into the present moment by paying attention, engaging all your senses, right? What are you hearing right now? Is it the drip of a leaky faucet? I hope not. Or like, hopefully it's like birds or like, a squirrel, being annoyed by your presence because it thinks that you're in danger or something like that. But it's really cute, those squirrel chatterings. Notice the quality of your senses, right? If thoughts pop up, just notice them. You don't need to have any judgment about them. You don't need to follow them anywhere. Just if a thought comes up, notice it and let it glide by, And then step four, and here's the bridge piece, right? So now that you've done that, just by doing steps 1 to 3, that's already a huge benefit to your mind and body, right? But then, once you're fully attuned and you're engaged with where you are, do a self-assessment. What are you feeling like right now? Do you feel like engaging with nature in another way? And if your body is feeling, yes, like I want more, you go back to your inventory. How much time do you have? So which category are you in right now? Is it, staying in your backyard or going for a neighborhood walk or whatever? And then your next, inventory is what are the activities that you enjoy in each of those places, right? And the idea is by having an inventory ready, you reduce the mental a decision-making load that's required that is often a barrier for you getting outside and engaging in these things that are really beneficial for you. Or, maybe it's standing outside is enough. You're ready to go back. That's it. But you know what? You've gotten something good out of it already. How is everyone doing? I realize I just got out of my presentation. Let me get back in at
Hey, Kim,
12:35. Yeah.
there was one question. Um, Carol from Ecology asked for people who have moved to Washington and whose cold, rainy days are impactful to their mood, depression. Can you give some positive tips, tricks on how to still add to their toolbox? We have many winter months here.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on how, what you have access to and what you're able to do. Interestingly, research has shown that if you have pictures of outdoor, so if you look at my house right now, I have um, photos and canvases of outdoor pictures from much more sunnier times of the year it reminds me when I look at them, it reminds me of me being there. It reminds me of the fact that that is something that I've experienced before and my body can feel it. Research has shown that for example, there's research that's been in hospital settings where compared to a room that has a window to the outside versus just pictures of outdoor of scenes and then a windowless room with no outdoor scenes at all, and you can imagine sort of the level of healing that happens. Folks with the window and the scenes of outdoor scenes actually heal roughly at the same rate, which is more than if you were just in a room without a window or nature scenes. So you can actually trick your mind into feeling like you are connected to nature by just looking at an outdoor scene. And that's like my quick answer to that. But I would say if you can, figure out what you like to do outside. A rain jacket can do wonders. To me, being in the rain is a completely different experience on a trail than being on a trail when it's sunny and bright. And it's just as beautiful because what I notice in the rain is completely different from, and I'll give you an example, the smell. What a trail smells like in the rain is a whole different world from a dry trail in the summer, right? And these are things that I'm noticing and appreciating. Um, there's also a lot of outdoor activities you can do. Again, it really depends on what you're capable of and what you have access to, but I would start exploring for yourself. You can, if you find a buddy that can go take you snowshoeing, cross country skiing, things like that, bird, uh, or I guess there's not as many birds out in the winter, but I'm trying to think of like things that you do, low level hikes. So river hikes are really great for winter, low elevation hikes because there's not going to be snow if that's an issue or you don't have a car that can get you through snow. So yeah, there's a variety of things. I would say, you know, explore. That's the thing is if you do something and you don't like it, don't do it again. you know and maybe like you want to try it again later in life because you're in a different place and you were surprised by how much you like walking in the rain versus when you didn't a year ago, right? So I would say it's more about being curious and exploring and trying and getting yourself just out there. Hopefully that answers your question. um, and I just wanted to share some resources to get you outside. um, So on the federal level, there's recreation.gov. It has all of the lands that are federally managed, and all the info. Lodging and camping reservations permits are through recreation.gov. Our Washington State Parks website is incredible. You can look at every single state park that there is and learn all about it via an interactive map, or you can do a normal search as well for any parks that are in your area. The Washington Trails Association has an incredible app for trail conditions and finding out what trails are in your area, as well as the All Trails app. It just they're sort of sister type of apps where they serve the same purpose, just with various different different ways of interacting. I love the Merlin Bird ID app. This app, I've become a birder because of this app. What it does is when you press record, it will real time, if it hears a bird, it will identify that bird and put a profile of what it is, a picture, and you can click on it and learn about that bird. But if you hear it again, it lights up in real time. So I found that sort of, hearing it and seeing it light up as this bird really helps me remember what bird that is. Um, So I find the Merlin Bird app ID, it's free. It's from Cornell University. It's incredible. Um, for those of you that mountain bike, I have to put a plug in because I love being on two wheels. The Trails Fork app is basically like the All Trails and WTA app for all cycling, right? And then Plant ID apps, if for those who are curious about the living things that are green and out around you, iNaturalist and PlantNet are probably two of the top for Plant ID apps. So yeah, it was a whirlwind. I don't know if hopefully that was helpful. I get really excited about this stuff. And I just want to again, hopefully, if anything, this was a reminder to get outside and get connected to nature and to do this for a long time. I don't think of this as a check in the box. This is a life enhancing and just transformative um, relationship and process, I think. And so that's what I want to sort of impart is that's really what it is. We're not trying to check any boxes. This is who we are. This is what our bodies and our minds want. Yeah, and that's me. That's all I've got.
Are there any questions out there for Kim? Just so that you know, I will be making a copy of this, or I mean, Kim already sent me a copy of the slides rather, and so I'll send a copy of the slides out along with the recording that I've given, so you can watch it and follow along, or send it to your friends or anything like that. But any questions for Kim? It sounds like not. Thank you so much, Kim, for coming and sharing your passion for the outdoors and giving us some ideas, some unique ideas about what we can do. I love the idea that we as humans are nature also. Like I've never thought about that before. And when you said, I was like, mind blown. Like part of being in nature is interacting with each other also, or interacting with our pets, or that type of thing. I loved it. So that even just for me was mind altering. So thank you so much. And yeah, oh, and let me put the link for filling out the survey. There we go. There's the survey again. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you get outside today.
I like that. Eric's like, time to go outside and get a walk in.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Grace.
Thank you, Kim.